Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. Of course, Roadhog has been a big talking point this week with the random nerf that he got that people aren't very happy about. One of those people is DrRiku, who is a top 500 Roadhog player, so we sat down with him to find out the core problems with Roadhog and how they should be fixed. You can find all of DrRiku's details in the description below, but let's get started.
Yeah, hello guys, it's Riku and I'm really happy to be back again working with Overwatch Central. What's up, guys?
We'll skip the introductions, Riku. We've done videos with you previously a couple of times, but the first main question I wanted to go over are, what are the big problems with Roadhog? Because it's more than one, right?
So there's 3 big points of weakness that I really want to hit home here. One is I think honestly his biggest problem, and if they would fix this, I think Hog would be in a much more viable state, and that is his RNG nature. So there's 3 points of this. There's his hook actually grabbing someone, so the initial point where they actually touches the hero, the enemy hero. Then where they get placed after that, so when they get pulled in, where they're going to be. And the big thing, and I think this is one that a lot of people probably won't really even think about, is this weapon spread. The fact that it's just randomized is really bad, considering that his gun is not a hit scan, and it's a shotgun, and the spread can just really screw you over with, especially with some of the characters with very narrow hitboxes. So you can imagine here, there's a lot to work with here in order to screw up a kill or a potential kill. And then you throw in all the other things like just defense matrix, just all the defensive capabilities that the enemy team might have. Knockbacks, a really good people. There's actually, it's gotten to the point now where people have gotten so good, well, they'll just block shots. Like tanks will jump in and take some shots, or a May wall will come up between and it just screws over your kill. The second thing is that he doesn't really have utility compared to the other tanks. Pretty much every single tank, other than like Hammond, they have some form of protection for their team. They provide like shields or a way of mitigating damage. And Roadhog doesn't have any of this. The other tanks also have like really good disruption. They're really hard to kill. They have high ground control and just ultimates that just provide a lot of space. I know there's going to be arguments like, well, Roadhog has the same thing, right? But he doesn't have reliable kits like the other characters, and they're definitely, I would argue, that a lot harder to kill, and they have a lot more value to the table than what Roadhog can do. And then the third thing that I think, the third big thing that makes him really weak, and this is very obvious to anybody who's played Hog or played against him, and this has been true since the beginning, is that he feeds just tons and tons of ult charge. And the fact that they've pretty much neutered him in terms of his consistency with his damage and his hook, he pretty much offers nothing other than just being an ult battery for the enemy team. So there's a lot here that could be discussed in order to make him a lot better.
So there's a lot of different areas that make Roadhog weak, but in your opinion, being able to play him at the level that you do, are there any areas that you feel that people really aren't talking about, that Blizzard haven't really addressed, that they could fix, that is just more obvious and, up his damage, up the amount of ult charge that he may feed to the enemy team? There are lots of obvious fixes, but are there any other options that you think Blizzard should go for that nobody's spoken about?
I feel like Blizzard and the community haven't really discussed viable options in order to make him a lot better in terms of utility. That's something that I don't really hear talked about much. I usually want to hear from people like the community especially is like, oh, Roadhog should be doing more damage, give back his old damage, reduce the cooldown again, remove line of sight. And I definitely agree that there's all these points that I just mentioned are viable and should be considered for Blizzard to change the hero to make him better, but I don't really hear people talk about utility much. You see, the thing is when they decided to nerf the hero, they decided that Roadhog doing what he was doing was not okay. Whether or not you agree or disagree with that, that's what they decided to do with him. Personally, I think that Roadhog didn't need to do that, considering that even after they nerfed him, they introduced a new character called Doomfist. And I've been hearing a lot of hate for the hero. I personally don't like him either, but he's in there too. There's also Hanzo and Widow that do the same thing, where they just like take pot shots and effectively do it a lot more effectively and a lot safer than compared to Hog, where he has, hook and can be accounted a lot easier than these 3 heroes that I just mentioned. But I digress. So utility, I don't really hear people talking about like potential things. So For example, I propose that he should have a new passive where he just gives less ult charge. And this would stack also with his E. So for example, if it did 10% reduction in damage, like the passive, or like 20%, this would stack with his 50%. So it would basically be just reduced 70. I think there's a cap on reduction rate. I think they added that when Ana came out. But whatever that is, that would help him out a lot. Just naturally just not feeding as much ult. That's a possible way of doing it. There's also the fact that his E could be applied in an AoE around him. Imagine if Take a Breather did like 30% or like 20% around him. They would heal, or half of that. So he'd be healed for like 150 or 100 health around him. And they also would be taking reduction in damage. I hear me just mentioning that, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some people like, no, that seems broken. But if you think about it, if it's only tied to that ability, it really wouldn't be broken. The fact of the matter is that there's so many viable options in order to stop him from doing that ability that I don't necessarily think that would just make him broken. There's, for example, they just recently added Brigitte. I know there's a lot of hate for that hero, but she has a stun that's really easy to land, and she just gets on people, and that will stop it. There's also Sombra, there's McCree, there's Reinhardt. There's just a lot of stuns in the game that you're probably at some team makeup, you're gonna have a hero that can be able to deal with that. And I don't think that's really a bad thing. I think that it's fine to have that. There's also other things too, like the fact that he could potentially maybe get movement speed while using it. I'm just throwing out there ideas that they could do in order to make him a lot better.
For some reason, I really like the idea of him AoE healing people around him. That sounds ridiculous. But let's say if you're Jeff Kaplan, you want to fix one major area. You've highlighted quite a few and sort of prioritized them. What is his biggest issue?
I think the number one thing that they need to fix on Hog is the fact that like he's inconsistent. Just Hook just hitting, like landing on people, that needs to be fixed. I had never remembered that being a problem in 1.0, 2.0, and all that shit. Like I never was like, oh man, hit registration issues or tick rate. That wasn't really a problem. In fact, 1.0, it was a problem that it was doing it too often because the hitbox of it was just massive. It would just hook people around walls and just through corners. It was ridiculous. So I don't know what's happening there. That's something that Blizzard needs to look out extensively and get that fixed immediately, because that's killing the character. Hook placement, that's another thing too. Just where they get landed. There's times where I'll hook them, they'll land like 4 or 5 feet in front of me up in the air. They'll be behind me. Like it's literally all over the place. And I don't know why this became a problem, because 2.0 was pretty much perfect. So with 2.0, yes, it was broken that it was like they were literally in your face. Like if you hooked someone, they were dead back then, considering all the damage that he did. And they would, like, there was no way you're gonna miss your pellets because you were that close. What I'm saying is they bring back 2.0 in terms of how it's placed. So the way it worked before in 2.0 was you would hook someone, but no matter what the situation is, they would always get placed in front of you. You would be on high ground, low ground, they'd be in the air, you could be in the air, they would have momentum, they could be jumping. There's a lot of things that would factor, like they'd be on a ramp. So having it so that they would be always in front of you, but with that like distance of how it works right now, it would be perfect, because there's still the skill ceiling and the fact that it won't be easy for Hog to just get those kills. And the other thing is that it kind of makes me really confused how Blizzard doesn't have this implemented with all their shotgun heroes. Is when they introduced Doomfist, I think it was like a month or two after he came out, they made it so his shotgun hand thing, I don't know what the fuck it's called. They made it a fixed spread. So they made it a circle, but the pellets would always shoot in that circle. It wouldn't go out the circle. They need to do the same thing with Roadhog. I don't understand why they just haven't done that yet. It just makes sense. Just make it consistent, and it would make the character so much better. And I think that alone, what I just mentioned, would probably make him a lot more viable and not as garbage as he is right now. Because right now he's just it doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel good. Another thing too I want to hit is line of sight. I don't really understand what they're doing with that, because I think that might go into play of why Hook is breaking randomly. I don't understand. They need to work on some of the tech behind that. There's times they'll be behind like a pole, like a twig, and that'll count. Or a good example is like how just if you'll hook them and they would have momentum going towards the corner, it would still break. I feel like they should just make it so it just flat out stuns them and just pulls them immediately after they get hooked. But still have LOS. Like if you can't see them, just don't pull them. But if you had vision of the target when the hook lands, it should always pull them no matter what. That's such an easy fix, and that would fix the fact that like Hog won't just hook you around the corner. I mean, the hook hitbox is massive, but it won't matter if it's massive, so massive that it won't, like, if you can't see them, it won't hook you. So I think that's completely fair, and that might play into why it's breaking so much. It just needs to happen. This needs to be fixed now. It's been going on for too long. Another thing I want to add about the line of LOS, they have like another system in place, and this is the only other hero that has this, is Sombra. The way Sombra works is if you take any damage, obviously, or you break LOS, you would just reset the cooldown. I don't know why that they just don't apply this to Roadhog. Obviously, they would have to tweak the numbers so it's not like ridiculous. I think that the lowest it should be is maybe like 4 seconds or 5. But if they just add that to Roadhog, when the hook does break, he still has it up pretty relatively soon to be able to use again. I think this is perfectly fine if they did that. I don't think it'd be broken because, hey, like I said before, there's so many counters in the game to stop his hook anyway. It having a slightly reduction in cooldown isn't going to make the hero ridiculously overpowered. It's just going to make it fair for the person throwing the hooks. It just feels right. It seems like the right thing to do for Blizzard. It's already in place. Why not apply it to Roadhog as well? It just makes sense. I also mentioned earlier about the him having more utility, just making him so he can heal in AoE. That would help him a lot. Just maybe giving him movement speed. It'd be pretty cool if they had another hero in the game that would give momentum for the team other than like Lucio. Maybe it would be like a reduced rate compared to him, maybe like 10% movement speed or something like that. Just something small that would help out a lot. Make it like a difference of like I said earlier, like Roadhog gets like what 50% reduction in damage and like 300 HP. Why don't I just make him get like 50% movement speed faster, but it'll be a reduction for his allies as well, so they would get like 20% or 10%, just something small. I think that would help out a lot.
With the amount of issues that Roadhog's had for so long, do you think he's in the line for a rework? Just a complete sort of change on how this hero works in a lot of capacities?
So the question of whether or not Hog should get a rework, this is something that I think that should be avoided, just because like I feel like if they just fix his inconsistency issues and just give him like some utility and some quality of life changes that I mentioned, that would just bring him up to par with the other tanks, and that'd be a lot easier, and the character would still retain the character what he is. He still does what he does. Honestly, this is going to be part on Blizzard, whether or not the problem with Blizzard right now that I personally feel anyway is that I think they try to cater to everyone. I think they should just stick to a balanced philosophy and just ride along with that with all their characters. If they want to balance it off a fun factor, that's perfectly fine. It's their game. They can do that. Or they could just balance it off their pro players and high GM top 500 master players. I think that would be a lot better for the game, because that will trickle down to the lower end base. Because people eventually over time will get better anyway, right? So honestly, I don't think he needs a rework. I think they should just stick with what they have right now and just fix his problems, and then he'll be fine. They don't really have to do anything. I think the people that do play Hog will be happy, and he'll be a lot more viable.
So we've gone over like loads of ideas here on how to fix the hero, going from him AoE healing people around him, giving speed boosts, fixing a lot of the inconsistencies with line of sight and his hook, and decreasing the cooldown. What one thing do you want people to take away from this? Because these are all issues that I think people know about, but as a top 500 player, what thing do you think people need to really take away from this video when it comes to balancing and fixing Roadhog?
The only thing that I want Blizzard to do, if there's any takeaway for anything, it's just fixing his inconsistency issues. If you want to just after that look at potential quality of life buffs or any like utility or just anything at all to make him better, that's fine. That's fine. Just fucking fix him. That's all I want. Just fix his hook. I just want his hook fixed. For fuck's sake, it's been a year. Do it. That's all I want.
And finally, where can people find more of you, no doubt complaining about this hero?
Thank you for having me today, by the way, Ryan. If you want to know where to follow me, or when I go live on Twitch, you can follow me at twitch.tv/DrRiku. There's also my YouTube, which is youtube.com/DrRiku. And also there's my Twitter, where you can find me just doing miscellaneous bullshit things, which is, at DrRiku TV. And thanks for having me today. This was a lot of fun. And please, Blizzard, if you're gonna just make the hero good again, man. I want to love the game again. Make it good. Please. Anyway, yeah. Thanks, guys, for having me. Peace. Have a good day.
And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. You can find all of DrRiku's details in the description below. I do recommend checking him out. He's done a lot of videos basically talking about his opinions on this, but it's nice to hear some really interesting ideas on how to bring some quality of life back to Roadhog. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of all of this in the comments below. Take care. We'll see you next time.